Hi, kitty cats. The hallmark of a mediocre thinker is the inability to admit they're wrong. Doesn't matter whether we're talking about the Avengers, Donald Trump, or Charles Darwin, at some point you're just going to be wrong. And the most mature decision you can make is to own it. So let's look at how being wrong isn't necessarily a failure unless we choose not to use it as fuel for our own growth. Okay, wow, I'm a little late today. Woof, having a lot of troubles with audio here. Hey everybody, I am Dr. Amethysta Herrick. I am a scientist and content creator. I discuss identity and gender using the scientific method. And if you want to find more information about me and the work that I do, you can go to my website, which is purplepawclan.com. You can find the social media networks that I'm on. You can read the articles that I write. You can listen to and watch the podcasts that I record with very interesting people. You can also join the Discord server and be part of the solution by being part of the discussion. And finally, you can check out the hypnotherapy work that I do to help people work through issues with identity and gender. Now, if you'd like to support my work, you can get a subscription on the website for as little as $5 a month. You can also just sign up for the free newsletter, and it publishes about every 2 weeks, which will include today because it is the full moon. So, blessings of the full moon, first of all. And then you can follow me on social media if you like and share what I do. That is beautiful support, and thank you so much for that. And finally, I also publish other people's work on the website. So if you'd like to contribute original work in identity and gender, you can email me using the contact page on the website, which once again is purplepawclan.com. Woozers. Oh my gosh, I'm going to tell you, that was some sort of a nail-biting last, 15 minutes. I'm having some major trouble with the audio stuff just in general on this computer. So I'm using an old headset. I actually got another headset. I got another headset. I'm going to do some other things. Anyway, hopefully we'll have this all figured out by Tuesday. I see at least Charlotte. Hello, Angela, Margie, Genevieve, and Bo. Hello, everybody. Good to see you here. I had kind of a weird stream of consciousness this week. Everybody's talking about RFK Jr., right? He's been in the news quite a bit. And somebody, I wish I could remember who it was, but somebody called him Bobby Brainworms because he made some points about social media, and I think the food the kids are eating is literally putting worms in their head. Anyway, somebody called him Bobby Brainworms. It never fails to make me chuckle. And believe it or not, that led me to think about this great American thinker, philosopher. Obviously, I'm talking about Janis Joplin, right? And it was her recording of me and Bobby McGee. Bobby Brainworms, Bobby McGee. I don't know, you tell me. Anyway, I put that song on in the car. I'm like, I'll listen to me and Bobby McGee. And that led me to the song Get It While You Can. That's the last song on the last album that Janis Joplin ever released. Get It While You Can. So it's called Pearl. That album is called Pearl. Get It While You Can. In that song, the recommendation is basically to live life as it comes. If you can find something good. Yes, there you go. So Margie's got a beautiful, there's a me and Bobby McGee quote there. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. The sad bit about this, I listened to Me and Bobby McGee, which is a Chris Christopherson song, and then, hey Jasmine, and then I listened to Get It While You Can, which is also not written by her. I don't know that she ever wrote a song, but anyway, in this song, the recommendation is to live life as it comes. This is not the way I've lived my life. I've been very structured in my thought, and when I come to a conclusion, I tend to stick with it, possibly to my detriment. But and there's always going to be a but in one of these live streams, otherwise it'd be pretty short, right? This week, I'm thinking about Bobby Brainworms. I found 3 100% disconnected examples of the need to be flexible in our thought, which is, I guess sort of a kind way of saying, just admit that you're wrong, right? Wrong. I mean, life isn't about being right all the time. It's about growth. It's about getting better. And it's about using our mistakes as fuel to make ourselves better. So today what we're going to talk about, I swear these are coming together. My childhood interest in Iron Man, but not the Marvel Cinematic Universe. A comment from some MAGA person, some MAGA comment on a YouTube video that shows just complete denial of what the hell's going on in the world, and an article that I read about evolution and how to explain same-sex relationships in mammals. And then I'll try to tie all these together into something positive at the end. And of course, we do have Super Lesbian Animal RPG, which, gosh, we're still in Javis's lair. Now we can mess with the sand. That's cool. So hopefully this enables us to move forward, and we'll get to like the HR meeting or something. Which you put it like that, it doesn't sound very compelling. But there you go. I'll acknowledge a few other people. I've got David Acosta, who just joined, Jay Lopez, Andy, hello, the three of you. Jasmine Vine, too. Hi, woo. I'll pop up your little thing. Some little hearts. I always love that. Oops, did it go away? Yeah. All right. So Iron Man. Here's how Iron Man fits into this. I love this, Liz. Iron Man is a guy who flaunts gender stereotypes by doing his own laundry, and including pressing them immaculately, which, there you go. When I was a kid, like my father took me camping with his work friends. I think I was maybe 10 or 12 years old. I sort of feel like maybe this happened twice, but then I really only have memories of it happening once, and that's kind of a lot of my childhood. Is a lot of what the hell happened kind of thing. So I was 10 or 12 years old. My father says, yeah, we're going to go camping with my work friends. I think it was supposed to be like a male bonding kind of thing, but it was just awful. I mean, I'm just going to come out and say that. It was absolutely awful. My father was in aerospace. His friends were aerospace guys. They're all very conservative, very sexist, very racist. And I know those don't always go together. I'm not trying to say that. I was in aerospace long enough to know that was pretty much the demographic. So anyway, they thought it would be funny. We go camping. So they thought it was funny to give me some strong alcoholic beverage, which I can't remember what it was called because, like I said, this was 40 years ago. I feel like it was called Kamikaze, but I don't know. But they gave me a cup. At some point, I didn't feel well, and I actually stood up and I fell forward into the fire pit. Yeah, thanks, Dad. Anyway, I caught myself with one of my hands, but it was, of course, a metal fire pit, and I had this massive burn on my hand. The only thing that made this camping trip at all bearable was this comic book. Okay, so I think we left really quickly or something, but I hadn't remembered a book when we left. And, I'm kind of nerdy. So not having a book was going to be awful because I read a whole lot. So when we're driving along, because we went out somewhere in like weird California desert, Mojave or something, who even knows where we went. But we went driving out to the weird California desert. We stopped at a gas station. And I said, oh my gosh, just buy me a comic book. Okay, he buys me a comic book. The only one I could find was Iron Man. And for some reason, I really like the idea of this superhero who's only a superhero because he has a special suit and does his own laundry. I don't want to let that part go. But it wasn't the guy inside so much as the suit that he had. These are kind of clearly inklings of my foray into identity as an adult, right? So over the course of this weekend, especially as my throbbing hand continued to throb, I read that comic just over and over and over and over again. And I thought, cool, Iron Man, that's great. I never really never really got super into comics when I was an undergraduate, and then especially in grad school. Yeah, I kind of got into them like a little bit, but it was all DC comics. So I particularly liked Batman, and I definitely liked Catwoman. Something weird just happened with one of the streams there. Because these were like normal people, again, who did extraordinary things. And some of it, of course, was, Batman's special gadgets and things, which is kind of similar to Iron Man, I guess, now when I think about it. Did that die? No. Is it going? It's going. But I also really like the Vertigo stuff, like Sandman and Death and, all these really pale and tragic, staple your hand to your forehead kind of thing. So I completely eschewed who talks like that. So I didn't like any of the Marvel stuff because Marvel just seemed kind of childish. I don't know. Oh, hi, Sal. Sal Vulcano has shown up. Hello, Sal. Thank you for liking the live. Um, Marvel superheroes are like magic, right? They're kind of magical. Like, where'd they get their power? There's always some kind of cheesy backstory, like they came through a purple wormhole and showed up in a backwards room. Stuff that seemed kind of dopey for, this, pale and tragic gothic chemistry graduate student. Anyway, then that Robert Downey Jr. film comes out, right? The Iron Man film. And it was amazing. Like, I loved that. I liked it enough. And this is what? I mean, it's at least 15 years old now, I think. But I liked it enough that I ended up telling my kid, I'm like, hey, yeah, Iron Man was kind of neat. So we watched all three of the Iron Man movies in like the past, I don't know, month or so, okay? So then, only nerds could grow purple hair. It's a good point. I've got to pop that up. There you go. Very true. Thank you, Bo, for reminding me. Only nerds could grow purple hair. So the next thing that was recommended by this streaming service, whose name shall go unmentioned, was the Avengers, right? And so this has got Thor in it, which is dopey. It's got what's his name? Hawkeye, which is kind of dopey. Black Widow, who's actually pretty badass. I can't think of who else. The Hulk, a little goofy. Anyway, so I'm like, oh, the Avengers. My kid goes, oh my gosh, we have to watch this. So I'm sort of tightening up. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm going to have to watch an actual Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. But I gave it a shot. And it was awesome. I mean, I had to squint a little bit not to see, some of the sort of cheesy bits. But now from this perspective, I'm like, well, these cheesy bits are in every superhero comic. Every superhero. Every comic. This is a major change in my thought. And I realize you're like, oh, wow, you watched the Avengers. Whoop-de shit. But I had to admit I was wrong. And that's not something I've been good at doing historically in my life. I had to admit that I was wrong and realize that it's possible. It's actually possible for entertainment to be only that. Entertainment. It doesn't have to be like some intellectual experience. Maybe I could just get it while I can, as it were. See what I did there? Yeah. So that's me changing my thought. I did mention, another comment, about all that's happening in this world. Let me check comments really fast. Oh my. Wow. Margie says she was at a party. Somebody put on the Avengers when everybody was tripping. I would have to imagine that was pretty baffling. Do you know, there was one thing, the film went off, by the way. Yeah, film ended. And I said to my wife, I go, Chris Hemsworth didn't really look as dreamy as he usually does. Usually he's pretty, like in Ghostbusters, he was really dreamy looking, and here he looked kind of roughed up, which was a bummer, because I was like, I want Chris Hemsworth to look good. Anyway, moving on. I got this comment. This is my story number 2 here. So got a comment on the Transgender Joy video from last night. Now remember, if you watch this last night, this is the one that I talked about conservative hypocrisy in that video, where two stories of conservative people not helping children, and one story of a presumably liberal type person helping someone, or helping children, protecting children. So this comment it's not actually on the video. It was flagged as inappropriate by the platform, which I love to look at those because it's always. Let me just read the comment. Let me read it, okay? I haven't decided yet. I might approve this comment just so I can leave a scathing response. I'm not sure. Maybe I can just approve the comment and then point it to this video. I'm unsure. Anyway, it comes from a person called me. M-E-E. It's like M-E-E-E-0321. This is the... So it's pretty pretty serious, right? So here's the comment. Now bear in mind, so I got this last night, okay? It says, here I'm quoting, We want it all, so get your ass back in the closet. Stop taking all of the meds, go to church, and fix your head. The first thing I'm going to point out is that he did not use the Oxford comma, and I'm kind of a stickler for that. I'm going to point that out. There's my that's all I'm going to talk about grammatically. But we want it all. Like, does this person, I mean, like, there are elections and stuff, right? Do I need to talk about how slim those majorities are? Do I have to talk about how badly they're clearly deteriorating? Do we need to mention the 2025 elections, which clearly indicated people are not happy with MAGA politicians, a whole lot of politicians? I would say that the phrase "won it all" is an overstatement of pretty massive proportions. Just leaving it there. If we're going to talk about the meds and stuff, we can go back to Bobby Brainworms, right? I can get back to, I can say it at least again. Does all the meds, does that include Tylenol for pregnant women? Does all the meds, that include every major medical organization rebelling against everything that the Department of Health and Human Services is doing? Does all of this include states filing suits against the Department of Health and Human Services? Does it include that we have like this politician who's making medical recommendations? You know, can we talk about this at all? And then finally, to fix my head. To address this one, let me just read the next part of the comment, the last half of the comment. And I'm quoting from me 0321. Lastly, stay away from our kids. Pedophiles go where the kids are, and men that wear dresses and makeup to go around our kids are pedohiles. I think it was supposed to be pedophiles. I'm taking the guess, but pedohiles is what it says. Now, I want to remind you, okay, right? This was a comment on last night's Transgender Joy video. This is the one that has, as a leading story, the story of R.J. May, the Republican U.S. representative from South Carolina who was arrested and charged with distributing, well, as it's put, distributing sexual abuse material involving children. That's the legal way of saying child pornography. He was sentenced this week to 17 and a half years in prison because the judge said that was the most severe, I believe he'd seen, that the court had seen, the most severe. 17 and a half years in prison. This guy's going to tell me stay away from our kids? Let's talk a little bit about Donald Trump. Trump is wearing makeup, clearly, right? Doesn't take Bobby Brown's expert analysis to take a glance at his face and go, yeah, makeup. I don't know if Donald Trump's ever worn a dress. Maybe he has. But if I were to sum up where I want to go with this one, I'm going to say 4 words. Release the Epstein files. I think enough said there. Now, hypocrisy is one thing, right? I mean, this person wants to get at me. He just wants to make me mad. You know, he wants to own the libs, whatever that means. I don't even know. I'm not sure what it means. Did this person really think through what he thought? I mean, truly, honestly, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for this person to change his thoughts. He can fix his mistake. I mean, I get it. You know, this is not get it while you can. He got it while he could. Your very odd leader did win at the time. And you cannot deny what you see around you. You can stop and advocate for real punishment of child abuse, like what happened to R.J. May and which hopefully will happen to Donald Trump. You can admit that the way U.S. elections work is that it's going to swing the other direction, as history has always shown. This does mean he's going to have to regret that Trump vote. He'll have to admit he was wrong and Trump is wrong. Is this going to happen? Candidly, who knows? But me, if you're out there, believe me, it's much better over here. We're not angry all the time because we don't have to deny reality all the time. I've got to pop some of these up. First of all, here we go, Liz. So Bo says James Howlett and Peter Parker are the only 2 Marvel characters she could think of, or off the top of their head. I don't even know who James Howlett is. Who is that? Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but oh, you know, and I liked Spider-Man when I was a kid because there was like a cheesy live action show that I remember. That was terrible, but I remember being a kid and liking it. Um, I'm considering this, Margie. If I link the video, if I go ahead and approve this and link this, I could just put a timestamp and go, here you go, bud. Here's my answer. Um, oh, I'm not sure I understand what this was about. Was it oh, maybe it is. So this is, gosh, that's exactly how I was threatened upon my arrival in New Zealand. Um, and Jasmine, yeah, when you think about all this hypocrisy, it's very frustrating. I mean, come on. Well, what is, I made that transgender joy video for a reason. Because these people say, we are protecting the children, and then go on not to protect children. And all you have to do is, like, look at, oh, thank you, Margie. So is the stay away from children. All you have to do is look at some of the reality. Look at the evidence. This isn't difficult. These people are not protecting children. So, the irony of getting this comment on specifically, a video where I showed, here's your hypocrisy, was really kind of funny when it comes down to it. So that's that. What else do we have? Bo says, I'm pretty sure Donald Trump walks around the White House in a muumuu. I hope so. I think that would be great. I don't know. Have you noticed his pants are getting higher and higher? I don't know how that's happening, but it's like his pants are starting to get... Pretty soon he's going to look like, he came out of a Charlie Chaplin movie or something. His pants will be about chest high, and I'm really unsure. He'll have to get some braces or something, right? He'll be walking around, with a little cane or something that he's swinging around on his arm. President of the United States. Okay, done. J.D. Vance's couch. I don't want to ask anything of J.D. Vance's couch. I certainly don't want to sleep on J.D. Vance's couch. Let's just say that. J.D. Vance has worn a dress. Rudy Giuliani, I know, has worn a dress. If wearing clothes is some indication of morality, ethics, quality of a person, then I guess, All right. Anyway, that's two people. It's me and me. That's kind of funny, right? So this MEE person and then myself. Do we see this in science at all? Right? Here's a question, right? You can just go, well, these are random things, right? You're an idiot and the other guy's an idiot. That's fine. Wait a minute. Hang on. Just finally read this. There is an AI pic of Trump with his now new Venezuelan friend and his Nobel Peace Prize grin, wearing a colorful dress with a sash saying Miss Teen Venezuela. That's lovely. All right, so thank you, Bo. So apparently whoever this is Wolverine. I'm not sure I get Wolverine's story. Somehow he got all of his bones replaced, but the bones can move and stuff. I don't entirely get him. It's Marvel. All right, anyway, I'll move on to something else. Same-sex relationships and the survival of the fittest. Before I do this, let me do my quick station identification. I'm Dr. Amethysta Herrick. I'm here. I'm a scientist who talks about identity and gender. And today we're just talking about the ability to be wrong, to accept when you've done something wrong, and then to own it and to move forward. Before I move on, I'm going to put on some chapstick too. Before I move on, really it's Burt's Bees. Burt's Bees paid handsomely for this product placement, let me tell you, 30 minutes into a live stream. Yep, there you go. Paid handsomely. All right, here we go. Here's something from Charlotte. If they really wanted to protect children, how about America gets a proper health care system to protect families from going broke or a dying child? Or how about going broke from a dying child? Because that actually is apparently quite popular these days. Well, not popular, but it happens quite a bit recently that we have People who need to get health care because they have an accident, whatever, and all of a sudden they have to go bankrupt. Now they're on the streets, and so you get people who go, well, get a job. Well, I had a job, and then I got sick. But our crappy healthcare system means that, Um, oh, I want to see this. Okay, here's before we talk about Darwin, here's a Darwinian story, an example of the art of being wrong and how you can't always learn from your errors. I'm already laughing at it. The last words of Union General John Sedgwick during the Battle of Spotsylvania. I never knew that was a place. In the Civil War, this was on May 9th, 1864, as a Confederate sharpshooter shot him, where he says, they couldn't hit it. They couldn't hit an elephant at this Thank you for this Oscar. Oh, God, I'll never forget it. Thank you. Okay. Hi, Jen. Jen Bull just came in. All right, here we go. Darwin. So evolution. This article came across my feed. I'll post a link to it. I'm gonna have to find a link to it, but I'll post a link to it in the Discord server after the stream. After this stream, it's actually in the Washington Post, but it's covering an article that studied mammals and same-sex relationships, which we've done a lot, right? I mean, basically, we keep doing this because we need to answer this conservative anti-queer rhetoric. Like, if same-sex relationships are wrong, why do we see them all across history? Because shouldn't this trait have evolved out of humans? Gay people can't make babies. We should be able to see that trait evolve out of humans. Now, it turns out, like you do, I've written quite a bit on this topic. Around the beginning of 2023, I think it was. Now, to be clear, I did not do research, like real research in the field, like actual, field research. These articles that were, I guess you would call them, thought experiments considering the mechanism of evolution. I know I've talked about this in live streams before. Maybe you'll remember going back to about the 1970s or so, molecular biologists started considering human aging. Why do humans age? And we found that telomeres start to get, shorter and shorter and thinner and crappier until at some point cells are unable to reproduce, and then the organism starts to kind of shut down. It's a little more complicated by that. But we have a mechanism in our genes that causes aging. Now that scared the crap out of people because it's like, well, if we could just pull this bit of our genes out of humanity, we could literally live forever, right? We have a mechanism that causes our bodies to get old. Now, there was a person, Roger Winston, who revised the theory of evolution, which, by the way, as long as I'm going to keep going back to it, is very much get it while you can. Evolution, he says, does not favor the survival of the fittest. It favors the survival of the fittest right now, which is to say an overall population is supported. It continues to move forward in evolution by improving birth rates, not by making stronger or better or faster organisms, individual organisms, although that helps. It can help. The overall population is favored by evolution by improving birth rates. Now, it turns out in humans, if you care, it's my live stream, I'll keep talking. In humans, despite the fact that we have a mechanism that makes our bodies age, we're also very fertile for 10 to 15 years. And those very fertile 10 to 15 years is what makes humans, the human species, evolutionarily advantageous. It's not that we're stronger. It's not that we're better. It's not that we're faster, because Neanderthalensis, Homo neanderthalensis, was all of those and had a bigger brain pan and should be here, and we would be relegated to, the annals of history, as it were. Anyway, improving birth rates. Same-sex relationships, as it turns out, strengthen bonds in a social environment. Stronger social environments lead to more births. Like I said, I wrote about this right around 3 years ago. And that's why same-sex relationships persist in history. Hi, Frybird. It's actually a very simple revision to evolution. So, why are we still talking about this? Why did a new journal article come out? In this article, they show a trend. They show this same-sex relationship trend in more than 50 mammal species. 50 mammal species. Now, why is this important? Interestingly, it comes down to funding. Yeah. If we go all the way back now to Darwin, so the 1860s, I think it was 1864 or so, 68 maybe, that The Origin of the Species was published. Darwin was really, really careful not to include humans in evolution. He was very careful, everything he said. And when people would ask him about it, he would be very, so when he did a press conference, right, and somebody had like a mic in his face, can I have a sound bite? Are humans part of evolution? You go, look at the monkey kind of thing. When Darwin was very careful not to include humans in evolution. Humans are outside evolution. Humans are God's perfect creation, made in the image of God, right? That's why Darwin was very particular about not including humans in evolution. And this journal article, it doesn't even say it, but it begins from that hypothesis that humans shouldn't be in some way divorced from the rest of nature because we're made in the image of God, apparently. And so that's why we need to have this kind of research to go, well, we were just kind of curious. Are there other mammals that do this? That do sort of things that humans do? Now, when Darwin was alive, now go back to Darwin, going against the church meant a lot of trouble, right? I mean, Darwin was everybody, almost all of science is funded publicly. Almost none of it is Tony Stark's Iron Man, for what it's worth. Kind of wish it was, but science is still under the yoke of the church's disapproval. And if you go, no, it's kind of not true. Oh, really? If you need funding, you better make sure your government doesn't disapprove of the program, the research that you're doing. See, here we go. Unless it's funded by viewers like you. If you go through NPR, this is funded by viewers like you. But usually, if you want funding, you better make sure your government doesn't approve of the research you're doing. And we can see this right now. Health and Human Services has cut funding. The Trump administration has cut funding for programs it doesn't approve of. Anything woke. Anything queer. I'm kind of surprised this got funded at all, except it probably got funded 2 years ago, and now they're getting the journal article out. This journal article is an ongoing symptom of Christianity's oppression. It's nothing else. You can't go against God and expect to be a scientist. Unless you're Tony Stark, again. And that's even when the evidence so clearly disproves the conservative anti-queer rhetoric. Anyway, those are my 3 stories. How do we sum this up? What's the lesson that we can pull from all this? Let me actually run to it. Let me look at what do we got. Oh my gosh. So Margie says she's had young transgender people dismiss her identity as trans 30-something due to HRT rejuvenation by citing telomere length. Oh boy. As if telomeres count, but sex chromosomes. Well, how about sex hormones? Forget even about sex chromosomes. How about sex hormones? How about just the fact that there's only one human genome? This is where we're going to go, by the way, in the podcast with Star. Oh, which we've only talked about in the Discord server. Did I talk about it at all in live stream? I don't know. But that's really ridiculous. What telomere length? Because everybody's telomeres shrink. That's what we find. Look at this. The origin of the species in the Battle of Spotsylvania or contemporary events. Quite true. Who would have thought? Um, this is a good. This is a great question from Angela. The organism that pays for the answers, pays for the research, wants the answers that help them in what they believe. There you go. Wait, Frybird, I didn't send you an invite. I'm sorry. Well, jump in and you can go to the website. It's right down there. There's a, that right there / Discord. Wait, no, I thought I put a video on all the streaming platforms. Maybe I didn't. I'm sorry. Um, but yeah, you will get an organization that you have an organization that says we want the answers that help us believe what we believe. Um, Angela makes a great point. In fact, an exceptional example is the Cass report, right? That came out of Hillary Cass through NHS England, which is the funding branch of NHS, the National Health Services. Anyway, the point here is that they're like, well, geez, should we continue to pay for something? We should absolutely commission somebody to tell us we don't. And son of a bitch, if that's not what Hillary Cass did, I guess, at least she played the little monkey dance, right? So, um, wait, James Iha, wasn't that the guitarist for Smashing Pumpkins? It's not who that was. He gave you the confidence to wear a dress. That's good. What was the name of the bassist? The like with the shock blonde hair and everything. Oh, she was awesome. I never really cared much for Smashing Pumpkins, but because what's his name? Billy Corgan always. His voice just makes me go. I have to grit my teeth and go. Despite all his rage, he still sounds like a rat in a cage. So, all right, here we go. Let me get to the end of this. Because well, how do all these three stories come together? Our thoughts, our beliefs, what we hold dear, can and should be get it while you can. You should absolutely think about what you believe. You should absolutely hold on to your convictions. And you absolutely have to keep your mind open for mistakes. Because you're going to make them. And it's okay. Because even science makes those. And the key here is to learn from those mistakes. Because seriously, if science can overturn at this point 150 years of Darwin's fear of Christianity, if conservatives can end up being able to see 200 years of the United States Constitution being violated right here in front of our faces, if we can allow ourselves to indulge in, silly, fun entertainment, even if Chris Hemsworth doesn't look as dreamy as he usually does, if we can accomplish these things, we can grow as a species. I know this sounds utopian. It sounds idealistic. But guess what? This is actually how the scientific method works. The scientific method depends upon being proved wrong. In order to get better, science is not about, well, let's prove everything right. It's about proving ourselves wrong so that we get better. Now, if you are out there, and you believe that science has made the human condition better, then you need to use that to make yourself better. I saw a message pop up and then it went away. I didn't get a chance even to see it. It must have been a mean one. That's always fun. Anyway, you have to use the scientific method to make yourself better. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Absolutely nobody likes being wrong. Acknowledging that you are wrong is going to be that first step to getting better. Embrace your mistakes and learn from them. That's all I had for today. How about that? And thank you, Margie, for sending a Frybird a Discord invite. I'm really dying to know what that comment was. Does it come up on this thing? I don't think it does. Will it? Nope. Oh well. I always love it. See, somebody probably came in. Was it me? 0321? I don't know. Maybe the person's like, oh my gosh, I can tell somebody's talking about me. What's going on there? I think it would be nice. I am not so mean to you. Look at this. That's not funny. I am not. Oh, look, my something's telling me I need to install a new version of something. Maybe that's why nothing works on my computer these days. Regarding these audio things, by the way, as long as I'm finished, um, regarding the audio issues, my nice audio interface, which is why I'm wearing the cheeser thing here now. My nice audio interface has just said, yeah, it's no dice, just no dice. So I got another headset. I mean, I needed one anyway because this one was old. It's like 4 or 5 years old, something like that. So I got a new headset which came with a USB-C instead of a USB-A, little dongle-y thing. I hate saying the word dongle. I don't know. Anyway, it's got a dongle, dingly dangle, and it's USB-C instead of USB-A. So I plugged it into my computer, like you do, and it says, "Oh, you are totally connected. There is nothing more connected than this thing here with, you know, and then this headset here." And I was getting no audio through it. So I'm like, "Oh crap! It's like 158. Reboot." Okay, it all comes back together. I pull it together, or turn everything back on. Still doesn't work. I go, "Oh, I cannot believe it." "Oh, okay. Hey, Jasmine." "Oh, thank you." Jasmine's heading off to work. "Thank you for being proud of me. Yes, let's organize a proper chat for sure." Um, anyway, so I plugged this USB-A thing in, and I was like, if this doesn't work, I am letting it go. Headphones made by Trump. um, so anyway, I plugged the USB-A thing in, and I went, "Oh my God, now it's working." So I have the feeling there's just something in the if you care, which again, my live stream, but the USB-C things should be USB like 3 anyway. Those two ports. This is not. That should be a USB 2, and for some reason that's working. So I think I have something funky going on with my USB bus, because I also had a problem with wait, USB bus is like ATM machine, isn't it? With the USB, software, whatever the hell. So I think that's my problem. I've already established what I intend to do. Is it's going to wipe this whole thing clean. I don't know what causes these problems in the bus, but I think it's been about a year and a half, and I use this computer for a lot of video stuff, which is just tough on machines. So here we go. Oh, it was a typo. Okay, thank you. All right, so Bo says, "Our thoughts and beliefs get documented." Forgive me for my foray, by the way, into technology. I don't know. Thought maybe anybody would care. Our thoughts and beliefs get documented and passed on by other people that believe the same thing. You've described the sort of the underlying mechanism of evolutionary psychology, and I know this has been 100% twisted around by people like Andrew Tate, Joe Rogan, people like that. But what you're talking about, thoughts and beliefs that get documented, thoughts and beliefs that get passed on, behavior that gets modeled, that actually helps. That is the mechanism of evolutionary psychology, in that those behaviors, those thoughts, those beliefs, they can lead to ultimately what I said before, that a population that has an improved birth rate. And so we can see traits in humanity. I mean, I bring this up all the time. We can see traits in humanity that today we think of as pathologies, but from an evolutionary psychology standpoint, are very important. Certainly were very important. So there you go. So thank you. That's an excellent point, Bo. Sorry. Yes, Bo. Let's try to figure out who that was. Here we go. Yeah, Angela says right. The Cass report said there needs to be actual research into hormone blockers for children. The interesting bit there. I mean, so Angela also says people are against doing the research. Now, the interesting point there. This is a great, commentary, I suppose, on what happened here. The interesting point here is that we have about 40 years of research. 30, excuse me, about 30 years of research of using puberty blockers for children. I mean, this is not something like somebody just down the road went, hey, what if let's just, we'll inject this one kid. Yeah, let's see what happens. Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? What is it? It's like Windex. Shouldn't be a problem, right? Let's see what happens. It's not what's going on. There are people who have studied this for a long, long time. Now that being said, puberty blockers use in there has never been a long-term clinical study, which typically, incidentally, means government funded. Okay, there was also not a big like long-term funded piece of research for progesterone in transgender women's HRT until recently. So, if because like I went to my HRT person, I went to my whatever her name is, my clinician, right, my gender clinic, and I said, "Can I get progesterone? I want to grow bigger boobs." And she goes, "Yeah, totally." She goes, "But I have to tell you, there's no proof that it's going to work." And I was like, I mean, I've read it in about a bajillion places that it's going to work. And she goes, I know that, but we don't have clinical, supposed clinical research, funded long-term research, uh, you know, and some of this, of course, is due to ethical considerations. You don't want somebody who goes, hey, look, I'm going to give you a puberty blocker. And the kid goes, God, I still feel like shit. Why am I still developing characteristics that I don't want to develop? Like, that's unethical. Some of these things you're just not going to do it. So even though Angela says that any research is not given the answer they want, very true. The other thing is that you're not going to do some of this research. It's sort of like, we'd love to know if humans could learn to speak without like having to be around people modeling speech. But what that means is destroying one human's life utterly. Like, there are a lot of things we'd love to know. What happens if you just stick a baby in like a dark room, with no sensory input for 20 years, but now you've got this, destroyed human. And believe it or not, even, scientists are not quite that unethical. Maybe what I should say is politicians are not quite that unethical even to fund that. I don't know. Um, I do love this. If I shake it, do I hear the bugs in it? No, I'm gonna tell you actually. So I just put a new video card in my uh computer. So I blew a whole lot of dust out of it. So I don't know what's going on there. But um, I also want to pop this one up. The Universal Cereal Bus has a flat tire. In this case, the wheels on the Universal Cereal Bus are not going round and round. That's the point there. Yeah, Freiberg brings up, so the girl from the 70s, Mona Evita, something like that. Mona, I think it was Mona, or Jeannie. Sorry, Jeannie, that was it. The girl from the 70s who was locked in a room by her parents and never learned to speak. Yes, I believe her name was Jeannie, Genie, not with a J. But hey, Jamie. Oh my gosh, Jamie. Hi, Jamie. Um, yes, that's the kind of research you'd have to do. Lock some kid in a room all their life. That's a little unethical. People don't want to do that. Um, whoa, feral children. I didn't know that happened. So let me see. Margie says she had a friend who failed to get a progesterone script for years. Yeah, due to lack of research. Yes. I mean, that's the uh, lack of research. I mean, and to be totally clear on this too, right? To be 100% clear, this is research that WPATH has done, at least WPATH has done for 50 years. And when I say WPATH, right, that is the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, right? I mean, these are studies that have been going on for 50 years, but we know some of this goes back much farther. You know, when we first started doing any kind of hormone replacement therapy goes back even farther. So, all right, Jamie, love you too. That's cool. Thank you, Jamie. I'm glad he was here. Look at that. Oh, he's there with a rat. Oh, that's cute. Um, Anyway, so here we go. So then Margie says, I gave her a bunch of my progesterone to present to the doc as fait accompli. I don't know how to say that. That's like Spanish. Yeah, harm reduction. Oh, wait, did you really get a script? Oh my gosh, that's good. I mean, that's good. I don't know. I mean, it's an easy thing to hide behind. Uh, Politicians hide behind this. Sorry, I'm just running low on speech apparently. Politicians love to hide behind this. Well, more research is necessary. But for what it's worth, scientists, I mean, like, this is a joke that at the very least my wife and I have made with each other. Scientists just adore. There's like four words that you put at the end of every single paper, and at this point, it's some people may be putting release the Epstein files there, but usually what you do is you say more research is required. Right. So then you can publish the article and you can go to the people funding you and you go, God, we did some amazing work. I mean, more research is required, of course. It's not just that easy, right? And then the government goes, oh, well, we'll write you another check. Only maybe they, like I, am left-handed. Here you go. Here's your check. So anyway, it's great. Scientists can hide behind it. Politicians can hide behind it. It's misuse, of course, of the scientific method. But here we are, right? I like this. Okay. Oh, I get it. Okay, so Margie says the doctor was obliged at that point since now she had a history of using progesterone. So denying it to her would violate harm reduction policies. That was pretty smart. That was really smart. Wow. Even if she didn't have a dedicated prescription. Anyway, that's pretty smart. Oh. Even gave her a couple of empty bubble packs so she could pretend she'd used it more. Mine comes just in a bottle. Mine are these little schmooshy. Sorry, that's technical. The schmooshy squishy capsule things. This is the international sign for squishy capsule things that you can poke up the backside, which I've tried a couple of times and it's really hard. Not the capsule. Never mind. Largely because I have such a big posterior. I will just own that one, okay? I was like, I heard that this helps. You can push the progesterone up the backside, but my butt just got so big with estrogen and gaining weight. I could probably stop eating and maybe my butt would be smaller. But I'm fine at this point just taking the progesterone orally. Not the ones that I'd already, never mind. Do we? Okay. Let's see. It's 3 o'clock. I got 3 o'clock. And even though I started late, empty. Even though I started late, I'm going to go ahead and take a pause here. We'll come back in a few moments and, play some of the video game. It'll be hilarious because it will be. I don't know what else to say on that. I felt like maybe I needed some kind of a lead in or a lead out, but I really don't. So, oh gosh, you're kidding me. So Margie's saying there's squishy caps and bubble packs. So I'm going to tell you, here's what I do. I don't know if it's ever been obvious. Is that going to be clear? Not really. Oops, get my head out of the way. It's not. I always point my thumbnails. First of all, I just like how it looks. It used to be I pointed all of my fingernails when I was in graduate school. And I had people who would ask me like to scratch them. It's one of the neat things. And I'd go to the gay bar, right? And they'd be like, oh, Selena, come over here. And, okay. So I did. Anyway, my point was estrogen here, not estrogen, pointed fingernail, put that in a bubble pack. I'm sorry. I'm killing time. See, there we go. Genevieve got a big butt too. Good. Right? We can scroll back up to the I like big butts, but I cannot lie. All right. 5 minutes and I will be back. See you shortly. Oops. It didn't go.